We've got some very interesting news and kind of updates to take a look at here involving the New York Rangers and them possibly, quote unquote, clearing the decks for a big move. And also, we'll take a look at some players and kind of what they said about Kaapo Kakko leaving, as well as kind of what Kakko said following the trade as well. So we're going to dive into both those things in today's video. But now diving into the Kaapo Kakko kind of side of things here and talking about what the players kind of had to say about him leaving and being traded away over to the Seattle Kraken, which ended up bringing back 2 draft picks, a 3rd and a 6th round pick in this 2025 NHL draft, as well as a defenseman named Will Borgen. But we're not going to talk too much about what the Rangers got in return. If you want to hear more what I have to say about the return in that trade there, definitely go check out my previous videos. Kind of have 2 videos kind of breaking down and talking about that trade already up on the channel. So definitely go check those out if you have not already. But you know, I am a little disappointed for sure in this trade. If we were going to trade away Kakko, I wanted to see some more stuff come back. I don't think we got enough in return to really meet the value of what Kakko can still bring. I think he's a good player, and it does seem like quite a few players on this Rangers team, you know, possibly might be a little upset or not too happy about this trade. Now, whether it's because of the stuff that we got back or whether it's because, you know, Kakko himself being the person and the player leaving, it seems maybe it's a little more of that. But either way, you know, we don't know exactly what the players' thoughts are on this trade specifically, but it does seem like, you know, a lot of these guys on this team in the locker room did like Kakko, and it seems like he was a nice kind of guy to have in the locker room there. So it does seem like it's going to be a little tough for some, you know, certain players specifically, but overall, I think it is a loss for this team that this trade happened, because I do think Kakko could have been a really nice piece to kind of hold on to for the long term. I'm not saying he's ever going to be, you know, that truly second overall pick kind of guy, but I think he could have been a great guy to keep on this 3rd line for years to come. Anyways, though, carrying on and taking a look at some of the quotes here that we have from some of the players talking about Kakko leaving. And first off here, we have a quote from Filip Chytil, who obviously has spent quite a while on a line alongside Kakko there over, you know, both their NHL careers. And Chytil ends up saying, quote, "When I heard that, it was emotional because I spent so much time with him and we played so much time together. He's probably the guy who I played the most with the last 5 seasons," Chytil said via Colin Stevenson of Newsday. Quote, "So it's been tough." And it definitely seems like, you know, particularly like I said, you know, a guy like Chytil might take this a little harder and a little more emotionally than some other players who maybe didn't have as good of a connection or, you know, play as much with Kakko, because him and Chytil there, obviously, those were 2 guys who did spend a lot of time together, I'm sure, on and off the ice. I'd imagine, you know, being line mates and, you know, somewhat similar ages, obviously, it would make a lot of sense that Kakko and Chytil would be very, you know, close on this team. And obviously, it does suck to see, you know, one of those kind of guys who has been on this team for a while now, was a high draft pick, seems like a good guy and a pretty solid player. It definitely is a little upsetting when they leave, and I am, like I said, disappointed about this trade. Also, carrying on though, we have another quote here, this one from Mika Zibanejad, as he ends up saying, quote, "I have nothing but great things to say about him as a person and a player. It's sad, but I'm hoping everything works out for him." Mika Zibanejad said via Vince Mercagliano of USA Today. And, you know, personally, obviously, I kind of agree there. You know, hopefully he does have a nice, long NHL career. You know, I hope everything works out for Kakko in the right way. I mean, it does seem like he was a pretty good person and a good guy to have in the locker room there. He was obviously, you know, not the best player, not that second overall pick kind of guy, but I think overall as a player, he was, you know, fine for this team. Didn't live up to expectations, but still, you know, did solid there. And you definitely can't blame it all on him for not reaching his, you know, ceiling there, his full potential, because there definitely were some other factors, whether it was coaching staff, development team, whatever it was, that definitely had an effect on multiple, you know, young talented prospects with high upsides. You know, not only Kakko, obviously we saw that, you know, development hindered a bit with a guy like Alexis Lafreniere. Obviously, he's kind of turned it around now, but you don't get what I'm saying there. There definitely were some prospects who had their kind of, career held back a bit by this, maybe franchise. So Kakko being one of them. You definitely can't get too upset with how things ended with him as a player on this team. But overall, I think this season definitely, proved to be one of the kind of better, more consistent players, produced quite well at 5-on-5 and, definitely did a bit better of a job than multiple other guys on this Rangers team who definitely do get paid a lot more than what Kakko does. Now carrying on though and taking a look at the kind of trade update / news that we kind of got here in a very interesting article from Yahoo Sports, as they have some very interesting quotes from Elliotte Friedman, who is, pretty much, I would say, probably the most reputable, NHL kind of reporter in the entire hockey world, you could possibly say. So Elliotte Friedman basically ends up saying, quote, "I think right now the whole mood, the way it is around the Rangers is they want to clear out people," Friedman said. Chris Drury and the Rangers front office have clearly decided this edition of the Rangers wasn't going to work, and now they are clearing the decks. He also goes on to say, quote, "What to me is going on here is the Rangers are clearing the decks to try something big. I think we are all trying to still figure out what that will be, but they are clearing the decks." So obviously he continues to say they're clearing the decks. And I guess that means, opening up cap space, I guess, opening up something to be available to make a big trade happen. I'm guessing something like that. So that makes sense and all. I mean, obviously, we've heard reports for a long time now that the Rangers, want to make a big splash trade. They want to make a huge trade, a massive trade. And that's great and all. I want to see it too. I would love to see us go trade, tomorrow or right now, yesterday even, for a star or superstar kind of guy. That would be awesome, to see that trade happen and it to happen in the very near future. That would be great and all. But first off, what superstar or star kind of guy is truly available that is, within reach and within grasp of the Rangers, possibly trading for? That's kind of the first question there. So you have to find that guy. Secondly, every single team in the NHL knows what kind of spot we're in as an organization and a team right now, and it's not a good one. So that kind of puts us in a not great negotiation spot where, it's pretty obvious what we're trying to do here. We're trying to make a big trade happen. Everyone knows, our dirty laundry right now. Everyone sees it. So, obviously that kind of has a little bit of a negative effect in negotiations, in trade talks, I'd imagine. So that, presumably doesn't help things out any more than obviously if all this stuff wasn't going on and there weren't these constant leaks about us looking to make a big splash trade. And, just in general, right now, especially with where this team is at, are we really going to see a massive kind of blockbuster caliber or even close to that kind of trade happen mid-season right now with the way things are going? Like, unless it is a young kind of guy who is, let's say 26, 27 or younger. It's got to be a somewhat kind of young guy who has quite a few years, under team control, or at least going to be an RFA. Otherwise, to me, you can't trade for an older guy or a rental, just kind of start of a guy, because to me, that makes no sense. We're in a spot right now where we're clearly not winning the cup this season. So first off, a rental makes no sense at all. That is off the table, in my opinion. Going for a big star rental makes no sense. That's not going to help us right now because we're not trying to win a cup this season, because we're clearly just not good enough to do so this season with the way things are going right now. So if you're going after a rental, that makes no sense, obviously. But then, if we're going after a different kind of guy who, let's say, is even like 30, 31, 32, starting to, push up there a bit in age on the wrong side of 30, that's not the ideal kind of target either, although it is definitely better than going after a rental. So those are my kind of two things there. Is I don't necessarily want to see an older kind of player, older kind of star kind of traded for. And I also don't want to see someone, whether it is even a 26-year-old guy or a 27-year-old guy, for a rental either. I don't want to see some big move for a rental, because to me, that makes no sense. And it's not like there's a ton of guys out there who are necessarily rentals, who are, available for trade, who are superstar kind of guys, because there's never really a ton of those kind of guys available. But just in general, in my opinion, I don't see us making this big kind of blockbuster trade happen mid-season. Now, this upcoming offseason. I definitely expect a big move to happen. So hopefully it actually gets done, because we have continuously heard these reports and rumors about, us wanting to, get something big done, but obviously it hasn't happened yet. We've gotten rid of that $8 million contract in Jacob Trouba. We got back a pick there in that trade as well. Got back Urho, who is a depth defenseman. We traded away Kakko. Got 2 draft picks in return, a 3rd and a 6th. Then obviously got back another kind of, depth/bottom pairing defenseman in, Will Borgen, who's not really a depth guy, you could say. Maybe not going to be your number 7 guy, but definitely going to be on a bottom pairing somewhere. I don't think he's going to be much more than that. So we got back 3 draft picks. That's great and all, but that's not the big move we need. We need to see a star kind of guy added to the team, not trading away a guy who was supposed to be a star in Jacob Trouba for us and supposed to be a star in Kaapo Kakko. Obviously, I'm not blaming Kakko solely for him not panning out to be that 2nd overall pick caliber guy, and I definitely don't blame all of that on him for sure, but it still is kind of disappointing to see us trade away 2 guys who were supposed to be these big, star kind of guys in Jacob Trouba, who obviously got traded for, way back when, signed that massive contract, was supposed to be that kind of, big dog defenseman for us. Obviously did not end up panning out at all. Kakko didn't pan out either quite well, but he's still, been a good contributor for this team, unlike Trouba for the most part, who the last couple seasons at moments has been a big liability in my opinion. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, definitely hit that like and subscribe button for daily New York Rangers content. I do post every single day, so if you're a Rangers fan, there's no better place to be on YouTube than this channel, and it also really does help out the channel a ton, more than you can imagine, so I definitely would appreciate it a lot if you could hit that like and subscribe button, and also definitely comment down below your thoughts on this Rangers team and both of these kind of updates/pieces of news that we looked at in today's video. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next one. Let's go Rangers.